I'm at the bottom of the Blue Ridge on the east side. This is the end of Bean Hollow Road. This is a couple of miles west of Flint Hill, Virginia. There's my little red car. And I'm gonna hike up. The first part of this hike is actually on private property. Up this way, past that metal gate. And a couple tenths of a mile up this driveway will finally put me into Shenandoah National Park. And then I'm gonna climb the mountain up to Thoroughfare Gap, and then hike some trails up there that I have never hiked before. I'll explain more as we go along. The elevation here is 1075. Two-tenths of a mile into my hike. I'm up to 1,130 feet. And here's the Shenandoah National Park boundary. It's red blazing on the trees. That white sign says U.S. Boundary National Park Service. Big old rock here, so you can't go any further in a vehicle. And that's where I came from. You walk right past, you have to walk up somebody's driveway and right past their house. You pass the house on the right. Just keep following the Jordan River and you'll come up here. There's the Jordan River right there coming down off the side of the mountain. And so here we go up into the park. This is the Jordan River Trail, heading up to Thoroughfare Gap. .1 miles into my hike, still climbing up to Thoroughfare Gap. I'm up to 1,630 feet. That's where I came from. Jordan River Trail. Down there's the Jordan River. And considering it rained where I live the other day, I'm surprised there isn't more water in the river, but I guess the mountain sponged up a lot of it. And let's see, let me look at my GPS. I got another 4/10 of a mile up to Thoroughfare Gap. Once I get up there, the trails will flatten out a bit. But this has been a pretty steep climb so far. .5 miles into my hike, I'm up to 1,920 feet. And finally got up to Thoroughfare Gap. That's quite a climb. That's where I came from, up the Jordan River Trail. And that's the way I'm going to go back. Over here, completely overgrown. So you'd want to come here in the wintertime. There's an old abandoned trail over this way that is poorly marked, but if you can follow it, it'll take you all the way up to the summit of the peak up there. So from here it's still quite a climb to get up there. This is heading south on Mount Marshall Trail. If you follow this, let me look at the sign here. 1.3 miles takes you down to the park boundary that way. This is Mount Marshall Trail heading north. This is the way I'm going. And according to that same signpost, I got a 4/10 of a mile this way to the north will put me up on the Bluff Trail. That's the trail that I haven't, there's large portions of it that I've never hiked. It's an old road, but anyway, I want to hike it just so I can say I have. So I'm going to I'm going to go up here and find the Bluff Trail, and then I'll start up another video when I get there. It's a 4/10 of a mile. Okay, well, before I head north, I decided to, right down there's where I came up, and I just came to the south here to this marker, witness post, survey marker, and right here is the marker right there. It's pretty beat up. I don't think it's got an elevation stamped in it, but I can look it up. It's 1,900 and some feet though. Two miles into my hike, the elevation here is 1,990 feet, and that's where I came from, the Mount Marshall Trail, and it continues on for quite a ways, miles and miles to the north. It takes you all the way up to Jenkins Gap. But I'm going to turn left here and hike down. This is a stretch of the Bluff Trail that I've never hiked before, and there's some unusual map features about this thing. When I get down here about 3/10 of a mile, I'll see if I can find any other roads. I think this stretch right here was a reroute from back in the old days. I'll explain a little more what I think might have happened here when I do the map talk. But let's head down this way. Gonna be hiking to the west, primarily to the west now. And I'm planning to hike this about 2.5 miles out and 2.5 miles back, which would take me to Big Devil Stairs. Beyond that, I've already hiked. .4 miles into my hike, I'm up to 2,170 feet. And I'm at a point on my map, you'll see it on the map talk, called Bluff number 1. It's a point where this road coming from Big Devil Stairs is coming from that way. And when it gets into this area, it continues this way, but there was also an old trail heading up this way to the north. And then another trail that goes from here basically straight down to Thoroughfare Gap by a fairly steep route. It looks like a little bit of a trail right there. I might wander over there and look around, but I don't really see anything major at this point. It's just everything's overgrown. Might be able to see something in the winter though. So I'm going to wander around here at Bluff number 1 for a little while, and then I'll continue on to the west to Big Devil Stairs. .5 miles into my hike, I'm up to 2,200 feet. I did not find the branch offs to that bluff trail that I was looking for, so I started hiking further to the west towards Big Devil Stairs. And if you look straight ahead, you'll see there's no trees there, and I'm looking down at my feet here. I found another it's an old road or a driveway. I'm going to mark the GPS location, and I'll study it on the old maps when I get home. But the trail I'm hiking is right down there, and then I saw this dished out, and look how straight it is through there. So I'll save this location. I'll check it out. Wasn't expecting to find that one, but anyway, let me get back down here on the Bluff Trail, and let's see, it's another 1.5 miles to Big Devil Stairs. That's going to be my turnaround point. Here's what the trail looks like. I'm hiking west on Bluff Trail. I've got about another 1.4 miles to go to get to Big Devil Stairs, my turnaround point. I'm cruising along about 2,100 feet elevation. Once you get up this high, the road flattens out, and it's pretty, excuse me, spider webs. Once you get up here, it's fairly flat, but it's pretty steep getting up here. But once you're up here, look, pretty. Just kind of cruising along here. Let's see, it is nice breeze. It's a little humid, 67 degrees right now. 67 degrees. I must be the first person up here today because there's spider webs everywhere. You can do this with both trekking poles ahead of you to try and clear some of them out. But you're still going to end up eating a few of them. Man, I hate that. That is a big tree. It's so tall I can't quite, it's hard for me to even see the leaves. I think it's a tulip poplar tree though. It's big. There's my trekking poles for scale. .4 miles into my hike. The elevation here is 2,410 feet. And here's the intersection with the Big Devil Stairs trail. There's where I came from, up the Bluff Trail, and it continues on to the west this way. Now from here, this way, all the way to Gravel Springs Gap, and Skyline Drive, I've hiked this stretch. So I've now hiked the whole thing just in different segments. That's the way that's the way I came, that's the way I'll be going back. And then this trail right here takes you down the Big Devil Stairs all the way to the park boundary. Now there's no public access at the bottom. So if you hike down that way, you got to hike back up this way. So I'm gonna come over here on this nice rock and sit down and drink some water and send a couple of messages maybe. And this is my turnaround point, and it looks like my hike's going to end up being pretty close to 9 miles. The only good part is I'm done with the uphill. From here back down to my car is almost exclusively downhill, thank goodness. And then that's Big Devil Stairs there. 7 miles into my hike, and just got back onto the Mount Marshall Trail. There's where I came from. That's the Bluff Trail, and there's a signpost. Took my stuff off to rest for a while. There's the Marshall Trail heading north, and I'm going to make a right-hand turn and head south this way towards Thoroughfare Gap. I got 4/10 of a mile to the gap, and then hang a left, and I don't remember how far it is back to my car, at least a mile, but it's downhill all the way. So if I see anything interesting, I'll try and get a few pictures on the way back. .4 miles into my hike. The elevation here is 1920, and I'm back to the intersection of the Jordan River Trail. There's the Marshall Trail I came south on right there, and I'm gonna hang a left right here and follow the yellow blazes on down out of the park and back to my car. This is a map of today's hike. The quadrangle name is Chester Gap, 1994, and the main purpose of the hike was to hike a pretty good stretch of the Bluff Trail that I had never hiked before. Namely, the section from here at Big Devil Stairs all the way over to here where it runs into the Mount Marshall Trail. I hiked in from the bottom of the mountain. I parked right here. This is at the end of Bean Hollow Road. This is about 3 miles west of Flint Hill, Virginia. So you come up on Bean Hollow Road, which is just a gravel road, until it dead ends, and then there's a turnaround circle here, and there's a little area on the south side here where you can pull over and park. When you get out of your car, you'll see two roads, one coming this way and another one heading off to the right. They both have gates on them. The entrance to the park is the one on the left. So you come through the gate, or walk around the gate, come up the driveway, you'll pass a house on the left. The house will be over here on the left. You'll pass it to the right. Come on up until you find the park entrance, and then you start to climb the mountain. It's pretty steep coming up this Jordan River Trail. Now I stopped here looking for this little side trail to the south up to this benchmark, but I didn't find it. Might be able to find it in the wintertime though. Continued on up the side of the mountain, all the way up here to Thoroughfare Gap. Now this map shows a shortcut path from here up to the Bluff Trail here. I looked for this but couldn't find it. This area is totally overgrown. Might be able to find it in the wintertime. Also, you can't really see this trail either, but I know it's there. This trail takes you, which is abandoned, takes you all the way up to the summit of the peak up here. I turned right and started hiking north on this Mount Marshall Trail. Now this trail goes on for quite a few miles. It goes all the way up to, off the map here, up to Jenkins Gap, where it hooks back into Skyline Drive. The stretch from here to here is about 4/10 of a mile, and then you'll see another concrete post to the left. You turn onto the Bluff Trail, and initially this, see, I think this was a rerouting from back in the day. So you come up this way, which wasn't even on this map, I just drew it in, up to this intersection here. Now, when I got up to this intersection, I started looking for this old trail and this one. I did not find this one, but I did find this one. However, it's not exactly where it shows it on this map. It's a couple of 100 feet to the west. Extremely overgrown, but I did find it. I'll have to go back in the wintertime and do a bushwhack. See, I think the original route of this trail was probably like this. Up here, just south of Spruce Pine Creek. And here's where it would join into the Mount Marshall Trail. So I'll go back maybe this winter and look for this section. Anyway, I continued on to the west all the way to here. This is the intersection with the trail heading south to Big Devil Stairs. And I hiked that years ago. There is a video of that on my YouTube channel. If you search for Big Devil Stairs, you should find it. And then from here, further west, all the way to Skyline Drive, I've already hiked that stretch. So I got to here, turned around, and basically hiked all the way back to my car. Fairly long hike. It was 8.8 miles with a total ascent of 1,757 feet. And that was the hike for today.